alongside me this evening is Marco Barbier. We're here at the superb Monza circuit. Marco, still a decent far away from your beloved home. However, still in the same country. This though, using a alternative layout, no chicanes today. It is going to be some way to kick off season 8 of this championship.
It is going to be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone, hello Sam. Well, what can I say? I mean, it's not my own track because yes, Imola is a bit closer, but still, one of the legendary racetracks in Italian motorsport, and might I add, also it's going to be quite unique because we are racing in the no chicane configuration, which is not quite like the Monza World, of course, because they scanned the track as it is right now, and therefore they will be able to go straight on in turn 1, yes, but they will have to take a very weird quick left-hander, and weird and quick left-hander at Variante della Roggia. And then sadly Ascari is not there anymore, the corner, so they will have to take the Variante Ascari there. So quite a mishmash of configurations, and it will make for some absolutely massive moments, especially I think Roggia will be the toughest part of the track because they will be coming there 2-3 wide at ludicrous speeds, and of course the first big braking zone of Lesmo 1 is going to be massively important again because these cars, which don't have very good brakes, I should tell you, as you know very well, will basically arrive there, I think almost touching, if not over 300 kph.
Yeah, will be absolutely mental this round. Of course, first round of the season. Anyone who's watched the championship before knows how competitive these drivers are, and a terrific turnout today as well. We've never seen turnout quite like this ever before. Of course, the new V8 Supercars are coming out. I've got about 45 drivers on the grid, which is absolutely superb. A quick word for the series, because, of course, starting this season 8 of the championship, and it's just fantastic that kind of it's been rewarded by this new car. It's really helped the participation. It's always been mega entertaining, but now that we've got 20 odd new drivers to the championship, and we're going to have twice as many battles hopefully up and down the field, it really is taking the championship to a whole new level.
Absolutely. This is fantastic to see these big numbers of participation in the championship, and I have to say that it was refreshing. Refreshing is a bad word. Maybe better to say it was exciting to see 40 plus drivers the moment I joined the session in the pre-race preparation, the pre-race activities, to see how these guys were, to see the car count has never been an issue, but to see them in the 40s is something that is absolutely great. You can see already drivers experiencing the tough moments, but as qualifying is winding down, you can see that the pole sitter is actually Kane Halliburton, a driver we know really well. I think raced against you in the Radical, BSR Radicals many moons ago.
Yeah, I forget. Did he win that championship?
No, he didn't.
I can't remember who won that championship. Well, maybe we'll figure it out later on. But no, Kane's very quick. Undoubtedly much faster than I am. And he's currently on pole position by 4/100, so second ahead of George McClay, Johnny Brandon in third place. Of course, we had the media day 2 weeks ago, and on that time, it was Nicole Foggy taking both race wins. He almost looked arguably dominant. I mean, it was clear they only had a couple of tenths on everyone else. However, with such a competitive field, that's quite a big advantage to have. So he was certainly the man to beat, but only in 6th place at the moment on the grid. As I say that, he moves up to the front row of the grid. So that's quite a lap time getting a little bit of a slipstream, I think, behind Richard Warmingham right at the end. So many quality drivers. I mean, we'll go through the grid in a moment, but there's a couple of top drivers who are quite far down the order. It was going to be a terrific opening round of the championship. This qualifying, of course, over, as I think Michael was saying. and the drivers just completing their lap times. Lane O'Connor there, just crossing line in 29th position. And yeah, just a couple more, Sebula and Chmielewski to cross the line. But, I mean, Foggy was ever so impressive last time out, Marco, and I imagine he's going to want that championship back off his teammate Johnny Brandon this season.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's looks like he started the season the way he wanted. With that, of course, media day doesn't count, but it's nice because it gives you a barometer. You know how good or how badly are you comparing to the rest of the field, and certainly the best start possible as. Our friend Jarek gets kicked out unceremoniously from his qualifying lap because time is well and truly over, and therefore Sam will bring you through the starting grid for race 1 of 2. Of course, we didn't say it, traditional sprint and feature meeting today, 2 races.
Yes, and it's Kane Halliburton on pole position. A terrific qualifying from him, I believe, on his debut in the series. A few hundredths of a second clear of Nico Foggy, edges out George McClay by a couple 1,000ths of a second. Johnny Brandon rounds out the first couple of rows of the grid. Great to see Richard Alsop out there in 5th place, another rookie to the season. Chris Jackson, good qualifying from him, beating the 2-time champion Tony Klusman. Jake Blackall starts in 8th place. Great to see him out there as well. There's John Miller. Michael Nomella rounding out the top 10. There's Guy Croft, Richard Warmingham, Lewis Bibby, Steve Lavelli, Jamie Wilson, Josh Chin, Victor Tanaka, multiple race winner, so too Jamie McKnight. Then it is Tyler Newitt, Wayne Sanderson, Greg Carr, who impressed massively on the media day, Yasor Sebula, Anthony Woodward, Daniel Handover, Sam Buzan, Adam Chmielewski, Matt Bunn, Howard Stadler, 4th place in the championship last season, only 28th on the grid today. Lane O'Connor and Nikolai Bogatyrev, another top driver. The rest of the field will go through for you now, because there are quite a few of them. Quite a few of them not setting lap times. Hopefully we'll see all 44 drivers on the grid for this first round of the championship. It is going to be a long run down into the first proper braking zone of this circuit. Turn 1 on this opening lap could be flats out, but remember, these cold tyres could really upset the drivers, and a bad launch from the line could be really affecting your race. As we are about to get underway, massive slipstream, of course, affected for these drivers. Don't expect anyone to pull away, however, they certainly do want to be at the front from the start. So here we are then, the lights coming up for the first time in Season 8 of the Racetech V8 Supercar Series. And we are away. Nicole Foggy with a really good start, going straight away, get past Kane Halliburton, who's got an awful launch, and he's going to drop down into 5th, maybe even 6th position. Nicole Foggy up into the lead though. McClay and Brandon going side by side potentially. McClay trying to steal the slipstream from Foggy. Can he take the move? Brandon runs wide. McClay doing superbly well on the inside of the corner. Apologies, that's Brandon on the inside of the corner. McClay might be able to retaliate going into turn 2. Can he just pull ahead? McClay sticks it down
they
to the
contact!
outside, and they're both going to the wall, and both massive crash.
Oh, it's a big one. It's a big one at Monza. The crash we were fearing. Massive wreck. They are still wrecking. This is absolutely incredible. There's a Team Chimera car completely destroyed. This is what we were fearing, Sam. The funnel that the cars have to go through at the Variante della Roggia proved to be a bit too much. There is I think it's Jamie Wilson's car completely destroyed. The engine is destroyed, and that happened right at the front of the field. So basically there was no way to avoid it. What a massive wreck. I think the biggest wreck I've ever seen in a long time. Not only in this championship, but I mean everywhere else. As McClay has sort of survived, even though he's chugging along, leaking oil there in the middle of the track. Brandon's car completely destroyed, and I will show you a replay very soon. Let's see, because I think McClay will have to head for the pits because that car is more or less undrivable, and that's exactly what he is doing. Foggy is the leader. Sam, terrible way to start the season.
Absolutely, it's going to be a long pit stop. This, of course, faster pair available for the drivers, but still a really long pit lane. So it's Foggy leading the way then. Warmingham has gone up 10 places. Up in second place, Jamie McKnight up 13 places. We've got Lena Connor up 18 places. Hoffman's up 21. Mueller's up 23. He's the most gainer. So this is what happened then. So Branton and McClay going side by side. Branton pretty deep 2-1. Now this is a corner that the drivers never have to deal with. Oh, McClay got massively on the curve, didn't he? And, well, everything happened after that. Drivers piling into the mess. And, I mean, it's probably George McClay's fault there, Marco. However, that just shows the inexperience for these drivers around a circuit like this. And to go too wide into a corner like that on any lap, let alone lap 1, is always going to be risky.
Yeah, it was going to be super risky. I absolutely agree with you. That was absolutely crazy. I mean, let's see it once again, maybe from another perspective. Dominic Suarez perspective. Dominic had a big moment in the air. And you see, you try to brake, everyone is braking. These are very good drivers, they know what they're doing, but oh, almost made it through and then went for a ride. Poor Dominic for ACR Racing. Another very pretty much destroyed race car as we go back to the lead of the race. Nicole Foggy in front of Richard Wormingham, Jake Blackwell, basically the survivors of the mess. As you see the fast repair guys, the fast repair train coming out there. That should be Foggy. Sorry, that should be Brandon, I'm sorry. And he is. And in front of him...
it was Newitz just in front of him coming out of the pits. And getting through is the Evolution race car. Is that McKnight, perhaps? I guess it is. Here is the leader then, Nicole Foggy. Faster up the race on that last time by Jake Blackwell. Was 0.4 of a second faster than Foggy, who has got his rear gunner, if you will, with Richard Wormingham. XBR very impressive in round. Oh,
another mess there
in the background, and that is Greg Carr off the circuit. That could have been Josh Chin, perhaps. He collided with. Carr should be able to get back underway, I think, without too much damage. But got a podium in the media day, and there it was. So that was actually Brandon then, a lap down. And well, Brandon will say that maybe Carr didn't leave enough space there, but well, I'm sure Carr won't see it that way.
Brandon, who just parked his Mustang, calling it quits very early on what has undoubtedly been, let's say, not the start of the season that he wanted. That is putting it mildly. At the same time, other people coming out of the pits. Blackwell once again the fastest lap of the race for CQR Club with a 33.3. Of course, Slipstream, like you're saying, playing a massive part. And of course, in front of Fog we have a couple of lappers, and let's see how it works. I can only imagine the frustration for many drivers because again, oh, careful! Almost, oh, there is a big mess there at Variante della Roggia. It's Ronald Moons, I think, who just towed back to the pits. Was it him? Yes, it was. It was Ronald Moons who smartly Alter Ford. Oh, wow! And in the middle of the racing line. Okay, so you know, I like to be honest with myself and with everyone. The moment I saw that this was the Monza that the series picked for the variant of, you know, the version of Monza that they picked, I was a bit scared. And Variante della Roggia proving to be the death trap for these drivers, unfortunately, as we have a car missing the rear wing there. At the same time, one of the XVR boys, not a great start. Lane O'Connor, not a great start for XVR, and he's into the wall and now in a very precarious position, sitting basically on the racing line at the Parabolica, reversing.
He's going okay. Eventually. Dave Jansen's coming. Well, it was a terrific start for Ocon. He was up over 20 places. I think he may have even been in the top 20, or maybe even higher than that, top 15. but that's all been undone for him. Good car, by the way, back into the pits after his off at the second Lesmo. As Jake Blackhawk, certainly the man on a mission. He's consistently placed to half a second a lap faster than the race leader. As Josh Chin running wide. And was this him hitting the wall, skimming the wall even there, Josh Chin?
I've got a message of him leaving the track, but not a message of him coming back. So luckily he came back. It's going to be a feisty battle for second place, I think, very soon, because Blackhole is putting quick lap after quick lap after quick lap. Closing in on Birmingham. Foggy there at the front has the luck of having that slipstream from one of the lapped cars, which I think is... no, I have no idea who is. Let's see very quickly. It is Nurmela, involved in the mess at the start. There's some fighting here in the middle of the field. Sebula, Sanderson, Allsop, Woodward, Stadler, Bogatairev, Joshua Chin also.
That's a good move from Allsop. He's just getting 2 places, I think, in that corner. Maybe gave one up with a slightly alternative lap. And then managed to gain them back again. So side by side between Sanderson, Woodward and Allsop then. Oh, it's nearly going to squeeze on the through that. Allsop suddenly dropping down places. Oh, that's going to be contact. And he's managed to hang on to the car impressively there. Just ahead of him then, Woodward and Sanderson. This is a terrific drive right now from Anthony Woodward and Sanderson. But that Matt to Sanderson runs a little bit wide. Keeps hold of the car. Can Allsop get past as well?
And Stadler is in the wall, unfortunately, and following him, I think it's Jarek Cebula, yes, for Atlantis Esports. At the same time that we were following this great fight, Blackhole went past Richard Birmingham. I will show you the replay straight away. Here we go. A brave move into Variante della Roggia.
That was very much, let me go or we're going to crash. Wait, let him go. Probably wise thing there from Richard Warming. It does let Jake Blackhall free, though, to chase after his World GT rival, Nico Foggy. Foggy, of course, a former champion in that series. Blackhall, multiple race winner, undoubtedly, but always gets involved in a few incidents, such as his ping. I don't think it's such issues in this series. I think we're on the US servers. So should be much easier for him to race side by side. Nico Bogatairev had a poor qualifying, started right near the back, but up 16 places already. He's currently fighting with Chimulevski.
Stadler heading for the pit lane. In the same time, Sanderson, Woodward also renewing their acquaintances as they head for the Variante della Roggia, which I shouldn't call it like this because it's not a corner, it's not a Variante, but it's a corner, a kink, I have to say. Look at the damage on the left side of Sanderson's car. These new V8s, they have the possibility, basically a new implementation of basically paint being scraped away after you hit the wall, and that is absolutely a perfect representation of this new surface damage model, so to speak, of this car. And Sanderson missing a big chunk of paint on the left side of his car, right side looking pristine as he heads over those deadly curbs and the very slippery Mascari. Another lap, 11 minutes already in the books, therefore we are approaching very quickly the halfway mark of this race.
Feels like a while ago that, of course, we saw Kane Halliburton on pole position. I guess he got involved in that crash. I mean, so many top drivers did. I mean, Jackson and Klusterman, who are both still running remarkably, didn't need pit stops. But they're very much by themselves, 15th and 16th. A little bit lonely out there, not really fighting for too much competitive. Of course, they'll be hoping for a decent-sized reverse grid. We saw a very small one at Watkins Glen, and we've seen surprisingly small ones throughout our commentary on Apex Racing TV of this series. It always seems to be remarkably small reverse grids. However, hopefully we get a big one today because there are a few drivers out of position we could see a very surprise winner, perhaps. Woodward then making that move again, although almost losing control of the car. Catching up to them massively was Richard Alsop, I think, just in the background. This is what happened to Halliburton then. I mean, I don't think he had a chance of missing this one.
He did not. He was basically straight in the... And you know, kudos for him for alt F4ing straight away. In order to create as little chaos as possible. But that was just like a drop of water in the ocean. Sadly, you know, you remove a drop of water, you still have the ocean. So, one thing also I would like to tell the viewers, as also left and right there. You might be seeing some detail popping in and out of the cars, especially as they come into view, or stuff like numbers being reversed on the screen, on the windshields of the car, and other amenities. Sadly, nothing that is in our control. Racing has probably broken something with the cars in one of the latest updates. Same goes for the skip barber, unfortunately. So it is not very pretty to look at, but it's nothing we can do about for the time being. Hopefully Tuesday, new patch coming out for iRacing, they will address this issue, because it's a bit of a shame, because these cars are absolutely beautiful to look at, and to see them lose detail when they are in the distance is a bit of a shame.
Definitely. Woodward losing that position back then to Sanderson. Chin just behind, then it's Alsop. So Chin actually getting past Alsop. So good pace right now for Josh Chin, who we've seen in a variety of series. I remember him in, I think it was the World F3 Championship. Oh, the Apex Racing League 3.5 Championship, actually.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Alsop.
Alsop's dropping down. Oh, dear. And, well, that was just behind us. I think he's made one of the most common mistakes ever. Has he just went a little bit wide, maybe dipped a wheel onto the grass? Has he lost it earlier on? It's just a little bit slippery out there. Didn't really get onto the gravel. And already some damage on that car, I believe. And he's, yeah, out of the race. Will still score points, but will most likely be not eligible for the reverse grid. So we're over halfway through this race, and it's still Nick Foggy leading the way, 8/10 of a second clear of Jake Blackwell. Just looking at the relative, which you can find out on the SDK Gaming website, or yeah, on the Apex Racing League website, I think. Has all the lifetime links, and also I think the lifetime link is in the description as well. You can see all the lap times from the drivers, the best lap times, and the intervals between each one of them. But anyway, that call gaining a little bit down the straights, but not significantly. That slipstream helping him out a bit. Lewis Bibby not gaining anything down the straights. I think there's a bit of bearing damage potentially on this car, man.
Bibby, remarkably, the only driver who's still in starting position. Everyone, you see massive gainers there, 30 places gained by Michael Müller, but we also have 16 for Chmielewski, we've got 23 for Ole Christian Underberg, 22 for Dave Jansen, but 16 lost by McLeay, of course, involved in that massive crash at the start. But yeah, it's crazy that BB, in all the chaos, is still there in basically, I don't know if you know, but when you stir coffee in your coffee mug or whatever liquid you stir, there is a law of physics which I cannot remember the name of, which says that no matter how many times and how fast you mix your drink with your spoon, one molecule will always remain in the same place where you started. So I think BB is our molecule.
Oh, that's contact. Müller! Oh, well, 30 places gained. He's going to lose a couple of them now. That was contact with Tony Kloosterman, I imagine. He's now going to be under pressure from Lewis Bibby. He gains one place, so the molecule has now moved. We'll see if he goes back to its place later on. Foggy all of a sudden pulling away from Blackwell. Really remarkable pace for him, because he was losing up to half a second a lap earlier on. All of a sudden now lapping 4/10 faster on that last lap, and he seems to have been stronger for these last few laps. So really improving on the pace, or maybe just Black Hole having some tyre degradation at this point. Woodward gets back ahead of Chin. Didn't really need to say that because those two had just been swapping positions all the way. And Bibby losing out to Bogotayev, who's now up 18 places. Bogotayev, remarkably, relatively few battles going on out on circuit, considering the amount of drives. Just so many drives being taken out of the mix that a lot of them are trying to come back. At the moment, the top 31 drivers are all on the lead lap. Marco Namella, I believe, only just on the lead lap. In fact, he is actually a lap down. Bill Switzer in 30th place will be the last driver on the lead lap, which I think will mean he'll be the last driver eligible for the reverse grid. Such has been the issues for many guys out there. Bibby lining up Bogotayev then. He's just got past Mueller. He is back. Well, yeah, Bibby's now the one in his starting position after all of that, everything that's happened. And Bogotayev's going to be almost a sitting duck, you feel, down into this turn one. Be interested to see what the slipstream effect is like for these guys. This isn't a particularly high slipstream circuit, Marco, but apologies, it is a high slipstream circuit, but it's not a particularly high slipstream car. But we've seen at Daytona, for example, in the past, the slipstream pretty important when everyone's so evenly matched, and Bibby's still really struggling with that straight line speed. He's got a lot of damage on that car.
I don't, well, of course I don't recall. I didn't commentate on the Enduro in Daytona last year, so I cannot vouch for that. But yeah, I mean, you know what the trouble is with this corner is that there is a bump somewhere, I think, in the runoff area there, that has of course been scanned by iRacing. So if you see every time they jump on top of that, they bounce, and they bounce hard, especially when they come back of it. Let's go on board. See, they have this, and that's what caused the crash at the beginning, because one of the cars got a little bit sideways because of the bump, but in such close quarters, it made for, well, the perfect storm, I should say, as Nicole Foggy is about to start another lap as we jump on the gearbox of Woodward, as he is under pressure from former 1050 Barbanera Racing driver Joshua Chin, if you believe that.
Issues for Clyde Whiting as well, by the way, having to come back to the pits. I believe he had a bit of a collision a few moments ago. Chin's got alongside then, coming out of the Parabolica, which is kind of the thing that you don't want to do, because now he can't really get into the slipstream, can't build any momentum, now drops out of it, and we'll get a little bit of overspeed here, reaching 280, still rapidly increasing, 290 kilometers now. This could have certainly got to 300 kilometers now if there wasn't a car in the way. But lifts out of it, now trying to set up for turn two. Big lift for all these drivers through that corner, and well, he thinks better of it. We'll have a good chance on the next lap. We'll thread the needle through this part, and then a big braking zone into Lesmo 1, which is a pretty narrow corner. I mean, this circuit may be mad, Marco, but I do desperately want to get out with these drivers to give it a go, because it's pretty good that you don't have to be mega fast. As long as you're in the slipstream, you can keep up with your rival and you can have a good battle.
Here's to hoping for a cleaner start in race 2, therefore we can not only enjoy that, but also we will see if the drivers who are sitting at the front of the field, thanks to the reverse grid, might be able... what's going on here? Oh, just a big three-way fight, nothing, you know, out of the ordinary for today. Mueller, Bibby and Bogotayev now going to two wide. Bibby struggling mightily with that car. The car behind is a lap down car, as I think we should have 2 or 3 laps left in the race, judging by where Nicole Fogg is, as I think, yeah, the XVR car, no, that was Mueller, for Black Box Sim Racing Shake, heading for the pits. Still have Chin and Woodward fighting. So hopefully, yeah, because it is one of the places where if you can get a good reverse, you could have a surprise winner. But of course, you need to stay there, and hopefully we see that. Honestly, I cannot think of anything that they can do to avoid the start of the race like this. So the drivers will have to be calm, cool and collected, and
I've
do
got
their
an
best.
idea. What about you install the chicane just to slow the cars down? That, I mean, I imagine no one's ever thought of that through that corner. But yeah.
TK Racing has the no first chicane layout, which is the
You
chicane in
could
the...
do that, yeah.
But I always said that if you race Monza without the first chicane, you postpone all your problems to the second one.
That is true, yeah.
But at the same time, maybe it's better than to have
I
them
mean,
postpone the problems to a bump at 300 kilometers per hour in the runoff area of Variante da Road.
it could turn into bowling pins if we have no first chicane and we do have the second chicane. Because if one Joe messes it up, I mean, that's just a domino effect, and you could have just as bad a situation. I think we're going to be surprised in race two. Hopefully we are. Hopefully we do have a good start. Boggus I've now coming into this. I don't know if that's maybe fuel issues. Probably Charles. Oh, that's a shame because he was eligible for the reverse grid prior to that, but not anymore. He's had to take back to the pits and he's going to lose a lot of time.
And as per usual with the new tire model V7, you will head for the grass, you are not coming back.
So one more lap to go after this one. The gap's actually started coming down again. Blackhall 0.3 of a second faster on that last lap. However, he's still about a second behind. Not much of a slipstream effect there. Klosterman still making up places up into the top 10. Remarkable recovery from the Season 1 and Season 2 champion. Third place, I believe he finished last season. And has certainly racked up a lot of race victories. Only one behind Johnny Brandon for the overall lead in that department. And yeah, you cannot get past Josh Chin at the moment. So Woodward's actually been able to pull away then from Chin. So finally a break, and at the perfect moment as well. Klinsmann having to fight against Adam Chmielewski, who maybe doesn't quite appreciate the Canadians' achievements in this series. Can't just treat him as any other driver. And that could be fantastic to see because he really is taking him on right here. As John Miller is up past Richard Warmingham. That one's been coming for a little while, but half a second faster for Miller there. And on his debut, didn't even take part in the shakedown, I believe, 2 weeks ago. Looks as though he could get a podium.
Oh god, 3 wide heading into the Curva Grande here. And now they will have to sort themselves out. Great move there from Tony. It takes some time to recognize him in this new livery as he has his teammate there at the front. And they jump out. Look how sideways they are. This is absolutely crazy. That is the final lap of the race. And sideways coming out of the first Lesmo corner. I have to cut him. Oh, no.
Hold it.
Chin is going into the wall there. We'll go back to that very soon because we have the small matter of the race winner. Nicole Foggy, only 0.6 of a second ahead of a resurgent Jake Blackwell in the second part of the race, but I think Foggy will do the trick.
Here we are then. Nicole Foggy, the Season 6 champion. He's going to get another race victory. It's a perfect start for the XVR driver. He takes race 1 at Monza. Blackhall pushed him all the way, maybe even the fastest driver out on circuit. Finishes in second place. Good result for John Miller in third, and Richard Warmian, good result in fourth. His teammate Steve Lavelli will be in fifth. Are there any other tight battles? Klosterman will comfortably get ninth, it seems. Jackson is under pressure from Bibby, but I don't think Bibby's got the straight line speed for any kind of challenge on the run to the line. Unberg is fighting against Stadler. Stadler on his comeback through the field after getting involved in that big wreck at the start. Already has pitted as Stadler goes round the outside. Can he make it stick against Unberg? This could be potentially for a reverse grid pole. You never know. And Stadler will move ahead and into 16th place. Brilliant recovery from him there. Unberg in 17th. Buzan will round out the top 20, but we'll still have a few more drivers to cross the line. So Marco, yeah, once again, Foggy doing the business. We were doubting him in qualifying, or certainly I was, when he was standing 6th place. but right at the end, put that car on the front row of the grid, proved to be crucial. Brilliant start from him, and just a textbook drive. It really just it really shows how experienced he is leading a race like this.
He left all the chaos behind him and marched to a commanding race victory. Nice job for him to never really get into the clutches of Blackhall that was getting closer and closer to him, but in the end he was able to bring the car home in first place and get some valuable points again. Especially this could have been one of those crazy races. As we see Michael Frost coming home, we still have a couple of cars left. I think Vernon Wiley is the last driver we are waiting for, and as other drivers go into the pits, he is just now finishing his race. Therefore, we are just about ready to give you the race results from race 1.
Yes, and it's Nick Alforky who wins out 7/10 of a second ahead of Jack Blacker, who was coming back in those later laps. However, kind of that middle part of the race just not quite doing the business there for the 97, but a really good debut for him. John Miller finished in third place, then was Richard Warmio, Steve Lavelli making it an XBR 145. And that was Jamie McKnight, Wayne Sanderson, Anthony Woodward, Tony Klusterman, and Adam Chmielewski rounding out the top 10. Behind that was Chris Jackson, Lewis Bibby, Dave Janssen, a little bit under the radar, really good performance, up 25 places for Dave. George McClay was behind that, then his teammate Harold Stadler. Then it was Ole Christian Unberg, Lane O'Connor, Daniel Handover, Sam Buzan, Andrew Hoffman, Greg Carr, Nikolai Bokatayev, Josh Chin, Justin Rubello, Michael Frost, Victor Tanaka was the last driver on the lead lap. Could he get reverse good pole? He'd be in a very good spot if he could. One lap down, though, was Michael Mueller, Bill Switzer, Tyler Newitt, Gary Croft, Marco Nermella, Peter Bingham, Jamie Wilson. 2 laps down was Bobby Charles, Dominic Sori, Clyde Whiting was 5 laps down, and then the other retirees were Vernon Wiley, Richard Alsop, Yasser Sebula, Ronald Means, Johnny Brandon, Matt Bunn, Ben Galite, and pole sitter Kane Halliburton ending up the bottom of the drivers. So, big reverse grid this, Marco, a massive field of drivers. This really could range quite a few different values.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, next race, the new graphics for the reverse grid wheel is coming, so bear with us. For the time being, we'll have to work with the one from last year. It's still the same, but of course it will be nice to have Season 8. Our man Samuli is working on it. Let's roll it. Okay, the wheel says 28 minus 4, which means
24. Justin Rebello will be on pole
Justin
position. Bad
Rebello.
luck for Michael Frost and Victor Tanaka, particularly Tanaka. He's you won maybe 2 or 3 race 2s last season. Got very good in that department, but won't be starting on pole position this time. So Justin Rebello will be on pole position. Josh Chin in second place, and it'll be Nikolai Bogatayev and Greg Carr on the second row of the grid. Quick word on that, Mark. I mean, just looking at the results, wouldn't say there's anyone, any of the front runners, maybe the championship contenders, really up in the top 10 or so. I think you have to go back to maybe Hal Stadler and George McLaren. So, we really could see a big surprise winner, and then we kind of got some maybe race winners in the middle, and then the championship contenders kind of around the 30th mark. This will be pretty good.
I think it's going to be a very, very interesting race too. Of course, everyone will be, you know, focused, if that is the right word, on what could go wrong at the beginning of the race. But at the same time, I think that you are absolutely right. Drivers will have a great chance, and we have seen, yes, you can get the slipstream around here, but it's not very easy to pass, in my opinion, or at least not as easy as it might sound or look. So this will make for a super interesting race too. Before we go for a commercial break, I have something very exciting to show you, and in the same time, I am quite literally putting some ashes over my head, which is a way of showing a repentance for one's mistakes and, more importantly, sins, because our Mensa Muli has been hard at work, and in reality we already had the new reverse grid wheel, and I will show it to you right now. Beautiful, the new Apex Racing TV logos are there, Season 8, so yeah, it will be used next in next race, but just so you know, thank you Samuli, and the wheel is there. And now, Sam, I think it's time for a break.
Yes, I think so. Of course, remember, we just type in the number that we want it to spin on, so we could just spin it on the exact same thing, because yeah, we just get paid to whatever drivers demands. But we will be back for race 2. Justin and Bello paying the most, undoubtedly, to be on pole position. You do not want to miss it. 45 minutes in length for the second race of the Racetech V8 Supercar Series. Wow, this. Welcome back to the Racetech V8 Supercar series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again, I'm joined alongside by Marco Barbanera. We are prepping for race 2 of the evening. Race 1, Marco, won by Nicole Foggy, and it was a very controlled performance from him. Jake Blackwell pushed him hard. However, in this race, starting down in 24th position, is there any hope that we could see yet another double for him to repeat his media day success?
Well, that is a very good question, and if I knew the answer to that, I would probably be a betting man, which
I
I'm
mean, we
not.
wouldn't be here if we knew the answer, would we?
That's certainly an interesting point you are making, and I say that this could certainly be, a race where anything can happen. I said this also in the opening of the at the end of the previous of race 1. And who knows what might happen. The fact that these drivers only have 10 minutes of practice, I have to say big props to the organizers, because basically I don't know how they do it. The moment the race was over, the new race was already up, just as last week, 2 weeks ago. Sorry, for the media day, and so not a lot of time to blow off the steam. Some drivers, I know, they are not very happy, and of course it is human, I think, to have such feelings after what happened in race 1. So let's hope that everyone has cleared their minds for race 2. We have only 50 seconds to go through the grid. Come on, Sam, you have to do it.
Here we go then. So, on pole position is going to be Justin Rebello. Josh Chin starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. There's Nikolai Bogatayev and Greg Carr on the second. Then it's Andrew Hoffman, Sam Buzan, Daniel Handover, Lane O'Connor, Ole Christian Unberg, and Hal Stadler running up the top 10. There's McClay, Janssen, Bibby, Jackson, Chimleski, Klusterman, Woodward, Sanson, McKnight, Lavelli, Warminger, Miller, Blackhall, and Foggy. Race 1 winner in 24th position. The rest of the field will go through for you. I could have made all 42. I could have
That's
made
a bit
it.
that's a bit cheating, in my opinion.
Well, it's not as entertaining as the race. I'm looking forward to the race. Not me naming some names, to be honest. But 42 drivers. Kane Halliburton starting in 42nd place. Pole sitter in race 1, right from the back in race 2. What can he do? What can Brandon do from the third to final position? What can Rebello do from pole position? We're about to get underway for race 2 of the season. And once again, it's Rebello getting a decent start. However, Bogata's going to be able to challenge him going into turn 1. This is a superb start from the 555 car. Car is still in there as well. He's going to be on the inside. Are we going to see contact between the front runners? They'll know that each other are there, and Car will surely be able to go straight through. Is there the grip for Rebello to keep on the perimeter of the circuit? Yes, there is. That is a brilliant start, though, from Greg Carr to take the lead absolutely immediately. Rebello in second place. Can he hold on against Bogatayev? He sure can. Great start for Klusman, already gaining a couple of places I'm seeing, and decent start for Woodward as well, and McKnight and Lavelli. So quite a few changes already.
Something very bad has happened before the first chicane. You could see that the field is basically split in half, and some drivers are only just now getting there. There has been something, and we will get to the bottom of it very quickly as Greg Carr is pulling away. Let's see what happened there, Sam, because that was quite a big one.
So Greg Carr from 4th on the grid, and this is what happened to Kane Halliburton. They're starting in 3rd to last position.
Many cars involved, including Johnny Brandon. Terrible start of the season for him. Kane Halliburton also involved. Jake Blackwell also. Oh, there was another crash which we missed there. That is Joshua Chin. Okay, so not the start of the season that many of these drivers were envisioning, and it's sad for everyone, but I cannot stress it enough. Johnny Brandon, title contender, and already champion in this series a couple of seasons ago, starts the race 1 with a massive wreck. Race 2, massive wreck again. Aaron Stadler now jumping up to second place as Greg Carr has checked out 2.2 seconds in front of everyone else. Stadler will have a lot of work to do, but he has 45 minutes this time around to try and come back I have a feeling, Sam, that the Monza racetrack, especially in this configuration, will be, I think, carpet bombed by the organizers and never be raced on again after this event.
Well, it certainly brought us a lot of action on both race start. We got a massive training class as well. Pretty much not a second between any of the drivers apart from maybe 17th and 18th, Sanderson and O'Connor. Foggy trying to gain some places. Where is he at the moment? He's in 16th place, so up 8 places. Not terrific from Foggy. I imagine he probably had to take evasive action from that crash going into the second corner on the opening lap. And not being able to get past right there. He's already about 10 seconds off the lead is Foggy, and this was how his race start happened.
Yeah, good call, Sam. Let's see the start from his perspective. Some drivers, of course, still learning the ropes of how to start with these new cars. And then you should see a couple of cars point to the right. No, in the end he was in front because, of course, he was in front of Johnny Brandon. You can see Brandon's car speeding there in the back. So I think he just did the veteran thing of taking it easy, as Stadler now defending from Klusterman, who from out of nowhere came in and is in the podium positions.
Yeah, up 11 places just on the opening lap.
Oh no, no,
And now to lose them all because him and Stadler smash into the barrier.
Oh
and,
no,
we've got
it's
a couple
a
more cars.
massive wreck.
Is that Foggy involved? No, Foggy's got away from it, but that is McKnight certainly, Bibby as well, Sanderson and Hoffman. There might be others as well. Oh, well, that's such a shame because Klosterman, I think, was always going to make that move eventually. However, maybe just went for it too soon, and they are all out of the race.
Wow, that was unexpected to say the least. Two drivers of this experience. Wow, that was a big one for all intents and purposes, because the field was still very close. I'm trying to go back to the crash there. You can see the spinning car of Tony. Now you will see everyone else. There's a separate crash actually, but I think separate is not, these drivers were 100% conditioned by what was happening in front of them, because you try to get on the brakes, you try to take avoiding action, and it's easier in these cases to do a sudden correction on your steering and putting the car on a spin. Therefore, I wouldn't call this separate crash, but no matter what, we lose other big protagonist. Jamie McKnight is headed for the pits. Shimilevsky is in second. Here comes McClay, recovering from the massive wreck in turn 1. McClay up to second. In front of behind these two guys, you can see Justin Rebello and Chris Jackson also trying to make his way through the field.
And great start as well for Tanaka, up 20 places. He's actually started behind Foggy, but it's not ahead of Foggy. Foggy, though, escapes all of the crashes so far, and so he will take a massive championship lead, do you think, if the standings finished as they are at the moment. Still plenty to go in this 45-minute race. We've seen the carnage so far. By the way, only up to top 24 haven't pitted. I mean, that's almost half the field have had to come into the pits for repairs. There's Johnny Brandon then. Ailing round there, although I think he did pick up a fast repair.
That car is doesn't look like it's been repaired.
No.
I'm missing a big thing in the back.
In fact, he hasn't pitted, apologies. So he's in 20th place. Up 20 places, admittedly. But yeah, just trying to get round, and of course he'll maybe pit for fuel
look
later
at that
on.
Smoke and fog in pit road, all the drivers who towed, and of course their engines still running because, iRacing. Therefore, we have a very realistic looking fog, because this part of Italy is famous for the dreadful fog that gets most of the year, especially in the winter.
Yeah, it's probably not fantastic to breathe in all of that, to be honest. Some classic smog almost right there. Car then 6 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Did lose half a second on that last lap, however, this really is just lamenting that great pace he showed 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. Got a podium on that day, could have won the race even. fighting with Jamie McKnight for the race lead. There's Tanaka making up a place. He was mega quick on that last lap. By the way, Richard Alsop down in 28th place. Took a faster pair, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race. Usually, Marco, in these races, it's only just a one stop. But of course, a high fuel consumption circuit, this one. However, if you can kind of just get to lap 3 or lap 4, you might be able to go to the end of the race if you do fuel save a little bit. So these drivers with a bit of damage, like Johnny Brandon, I mean, it's certainly worth him staying out and trying to make the one-stop work still.
Yes, absolutely. We know the way iRacing calculates fuel consumption is basically applying, based on the percentage of how much you keep your throttle open during the lap. Therefore, this, like you were saying, quite clearly a high fuel consumption track. So I agree with you. I mean, you have nothing to lose, especially if you're Johnny Brandon and other drivers involved in the crash at the beginning. You just have to make the best out of a terrible situation. Here comes, by the way, Steve Lavalli trying to get past Justin Rebello of Gatson Racing. The top the top positioned XVR driver is Steve Lavalli. He is just in front of Nicole Foggy, who should be behind him somewhere. There he is. Jake Blackwell has somehow survived.
Yeah.
Or maybe went to the pits, I don't know. No, he stayed out, because I quite clearly remember him being involved in that crash at the beginning, but apparently not. And so he is following closely Nicole Foggy's Race 1 rival. Nice to see Matt Bunn on track for CQR Club, even though he has some damage, but at least he covered more distance than he was able to do in Race 1, unfortunately for him. As Jamie Wilson and Marco Nurmela are fighting it out, the Finnish driver with some big damage on the front left of his car. You can see the front left tire poking out of the wheel cover there, wheel arch. Tire seems to be straight. Yeah, let's say that it's straight. And still fighting with Wilson. One thing is for sure, I mean, Team Chimera, they are a fantastic team. Chin and Wilson are two very good drivers, maybe even a bit more so in open wheelers, but they have had some terrible luck, both today and in the media day. I think they already totaled 4 cars, including media day and this round, so their luck hopefully will change very, 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 very soon.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I'm sure they're going to win at least one race between the pair of them at some point this season. Of course, we've got Super Sprints coming up, maybe even next week. I'm not quite sure. I'll check out the schedule. Yeah, of course, the main format for the season. If we get maybe 5 of these and then 3 Enduros and 3 Super Sprints. But this format does work extremely well. Victor Tanaka up another place. He's up into 3rd place. He is 8 seconds off the lead. Not getting too much in recent laps. However, it's looking pretty rapid, of course, having to make a lot of moves recently. And he's past Chmielewski. He's having a pretty stunning drive himself. Jackson in 5th place, and Jackson actually might be able to get past Chmielewski. It's going to be important. Tanaka not too bothered who he gives the situation to. I would have thought maybe a little bit to Adam there, but Jackson with enough speed to move up into 3rd place. Past Chmielewski. Rebello will be next, potentially the former pole sitter. There is a Warmingham getting past Sam Buzan. Buzan down 9 places. I think he got involved in either collision, or any of the collisions, I should say. Still, will be a decent points haul for the ASEA Racing driver. Also got O'Connor versus Handover just ahead. With these guys started alongside each other on the grid, and Handover will move ahead for now. However, you feel the corner will be passed relatively soon, or will be battling past him very soon. Good car, still 6 seconds out in the lead, and on that lap, he was almost the fastest driver on circuit. Weird lap times on that time. Adam Chmielewski was actually the fastest driver out of everyone.
You can see the white banner on top of Greg Carr's car. That it means that he's one of the drivers involved in the club championship, the Gentleman Series, and is looking good for a possible race victory today, I'd say. Second in this special... Oh, we have Foggy going past Rebelo, completing the move in the Ascari. The Ascari, I don't know if it's a chicane, it's a variante, let's call it in the Italian way because it's not really a chicane.
We call it a chicane in the UK, by the way.
It's okay. I respectfully disagree, even though I think there is no there is no comparable term to variante, which is something that we use a lot when there is like roadworks, which is very fitting considering the amount of roadworks we can find in Italy. But which means basically that it's something that changes the original path of a road, or in this case a racetrack, side by side. Once again here now it's Foggy trying to get past Chmielewski, but not going to... sorry, that is Lavelli, of course. Lavelli trying to get past Repelo and Chmielewski. Here we go, brave move there, and he makes it stick.
Yeah, it's kind of whoever's got the momentum going into that corner, isn't it? It can be on the inside or the outside, but if you've got some extra speed going into it, then getting fancy chances. Blackall now losing out to Rebello. Can't make that one straight away. Spin ahead. That's Chmielewski. Oh, that's a shame.
Of course, losing a ton of momentum and a ton of places down into P10, being passed by Woodward. Here comes Joshua Chin as well as they enter the Ascari chicane, and you see that was Andover bouncing hard on those speed bumps there, therefore losing a lot of momentum. Back to Rebello defending from the CQR driver. On the outside goes Blackall, but he cannot make the move stick for the time being. Let's see, of course he will have a decent run now, but it needs a little bit of slipstream in my opinion.
Yeah, he's certainly much faster as Blackall. Dips in and then should have the momentum. A little bit like turn 2, I think this turn 1, all about who's got the better momentum. He's feeling a little bit more confident going into the corner, and that is going to be Jake Blackall, the Australian, I believe. Apparently I got, of course we commentate on the AOSC Super Series as well. Apparently I got confused between a New Zealander and an Australian, which apparently is quite bad. I called an Australian a New Zealand. I don't think that's as bad as calling a New Zealander an Australian. So I'm not sure. Anyone from that part of the world who isn't asleep right now, let me know. What is worse? Big into the wall.
Is that Lane O'Connor?
Richard Warmingham.
It's not, it's Richard Warmingham. Oh!
That was Bogotayev and Bun, was it? Trying to avoid him.
Imagine a few choice words from Matt Van under his helmet there. As Boozy and Shin are fighting. And my biggest mistake was, I think, calling Jack Sedgwick American during a BSR race.
How did you get that?
I have no idea. As Chmielewski is headed for pit road, hoping to get the fuel he needs and then some repairs, probably to go from now until the end of the race. In the lead now it's 4 seconds the gap between Greg Carr and George McClay. Let's see the lap time progression between the pair of them. And as you can see, in the last 3 laps, McClay gained 3/10 in lap 8, 9/10 in lap 9, and 7/10 in lap 10. So he is closing in. This could be a very interesting fight from now until the end of the race. Another fight that is brewing, I would say, is Lavelli being reined in by Blackall. Well, now they are basically nose to tail.
Of course, this will mean that pretty much the top 6 will all be front runners. No offense to Steve Lavelli by any means, because he's been very impressive so far. I mean, he finished in 6th place in race 1. I mean, he's going to be maybe 3rd in the championship, I think, after all is said and done today. So, I mean, he is certainly very deserving of that top position. Tried to come back at Blackwell, but it's certainly wiser just to stick him behind, because he might have the pace. Keep up with the CQR driver, potentially just sticking in the slipstream. And these two are 11.5 seconds off the lead, but really anything could happen. We've got still half an hour left in this race. And now you've got Carr leading McClay, Tanaka, Jackson, Foggy, and Blackhall. Of course, 4 of those drivers even, winning races previously in this championship. And Carr and Blackhall aren't too slow either, so it could be a really interesting finale to this event. Johnny Brandon's still yet to come into the pit, so I was slightly wrong about that one early on, Mark. I thought he was just staying out as long as he could so he can make the fuel work, but instead he's sticking with it. His lap times are still about a second off the front runners, even a second and a half off the front runners, so he is carrying damage there, but maybe wants to have the fresh tyres near the end of the race.
You know, I think that Johnny, maybe is not feeling too much the effects of that damage there, which I'm very surprised, considering that that was one of the worst things about the old V8s here on iRacing, that you could lose the rear wing and basically, oh, there's someone. I think that was one of the Eva Crack racing drivers. I will tell you straight away. I recognize the livery.
Was it Sebula?
No. It was Andrew Hoffman.
Aha.
New damage model can come soon enough on this car, in my opinion.
You'd expect it'll be coming out relatively soon, seeing that these are relatively new cars. Oh, wow, well, he kind of got off the circuit very early on, and I didn't even realise there was that patch on the AstroTurf almost a bit of curb as well. That was ever so slippery, and into the wall he went. Woodward, he's got experience battling drivers down into this turn 1. He pretty much spent the entirety of race 1 doing it. He's still spending race 2 doing it. That was a very close between Handover and Buzan. Handover almost seemingly cuts in the line, perhaps, on his debut race. He'd taken part in the media day as well a couple of weeks ago, but certainly his first proper championship event. And he's doing very good at the moment. Sam Buzan, of course, race winner from Watkins Glen last season. He's just running in behind in 11th place. Has Tanaka just made a mistake?
He has.
I think he lost a position to Jackson, and then they seem to get really close to one another again. Here we go.
Nice battle this one with Tanaka. Foggy, there's Jackson in front.
Oh, McClay into the pits. That is bold from George McClay. And Foggy and Blackhall also into the pits. So we're not yet at halfway, but they want to get the undercut. And you can see how that's certainly making sense for George McClay. He's going to be right in line, perhaps undercutting the race leader, Greg Carr, as long as he gets a decent part of the circuit to go into. Bad luck for Jackson and Tanaka. They're still nose to tail, although you'd expect them not to fight. You'd expect them just to work together to help each other progress in this event. Driver behind, of course, a lap down.
Driving with Matt Bunn, who went in for his pit stop and fast repair. As we jump on board with him, he has the best seat in the house. As we are hitting the halfway mark of the race basically as of this moment. and we keep following this duo of Jackson and Tanaka. Let's see if they enter the pits right now. Greg Carr still in the lead, 6 seconds of course, and now he comes in as well, so we keep an eye on him.
God, someone's got to go long, surely. I mean, it's screaming out to go long. No, everyone's coming in early. Come on, guys. Mix up the strategy a bit. I'm surprised no one's gone long because we're not halfway through the race yet. And maybe this is the fastest way to go, but you know, you get a bit of clean air perhaps. I don't know. I'm not. This is why we are commentating and not driving. Potentially, the race leader from this could be Jamie McKnight because he came in on lap 3 of this race. Didn't put enough fuel in to get to the end of the race. It was just a means of fixing some damage. However, I think temporarily he might just get ahead of Greg Carr, who is about to pull away from his pit stall. In fact, here comes Carr. He's still going to be in the lead of the drivers who have pitted. Most crucially, Jackson gaining about a second on him during the pit stops. And, well, it takes a while to get up to the speed. You can imagine the speed that these guys are still losing heading down this straight. So McKnight won't quite take the lead. Here comes McClay. And McClay has got much closer to Carr. So the gap was about 3 seconds. It's down to 1 second now. Oh, that's a spin for Carr, is it? Has he got it into the wall? Well, he might still be in the lead. He's not anymore. Into the lead goes, or the effective lead, apologies, goes George McClay, and Greg Carr, has he got steering damage? That is a big mistake on cold tyres.
Yeah, of course, new tire model V7 on this car, so you have to suffer for quite a bit, 2-3 laps, maybe even more, before these tires go into temperature. Let's see, because it was not recorded by the incident viewer, but I think we can get to the bottom of it in one way or another.
So whilst this is all going on, Rebello and Woodward, the race leaders, come into the pits. Wilson and Handover stay out. So they are rolling the dice a little bit. Dave Jansen might yet come into the pits as well. He does come into the pits. So George McClay will be up into 3rd position at the conclusion of this one. Carr then just ahead of Jackson and Tanaka. Tanaka trying to go down the inside, almost contact between several of those drivers. Nicole Foggy right in the mix as well. Yasso Sebula losing out big time. This is what happened to Carr, just after what happened to Carr.
Oh. He's pitting again, so definitely some damage to that car.
I thought you'd just done the replay wrong, to be honest, Marco. That's quite bad that I assumed that. But he's, yeah, going to the pits once again. Well, the frustrating race 1 as well for him. And, yeah, frustrating
this
race
trio.
2.
3 of the legends of this series, Jackson, Tanaka, Foggy. They are closing in on Jamie McKnight. Greg Carr has just left the pits. This would be a very tasty 4-way fight for the provisional 4th spot, maybe even more.
McClay with a 3-second lead over this pack. We don't quite know because, you know, this is a new car. We're not totally familiar with the pace of all these drivers. We're not sure if any of these guys are capable of catching up to George McClay, who, of course, finished runner-up last season. Teammates potentially battling against each other. McKnight and Jackson, who's going to be ahead, or it could be 3 wide just behind. I think on the inside there, McKnight was trying to let his teammate pass almost and keep the others behind, but it hasn't worked. And now look how slow McKnight is, and he's had to come into the pits because, of course, he still needs to do another pit stop. Apologies, he pitted right at the start to fix some damage. So he wasn't really in that battle, but he will, well, he'll be very quick towards the end of the race. He's going to have some fresh tyres on that thing.
Great fight here also for the race lead, even though I think these 2 guys will have to stop as we keep on following Foggy, Jackson and Tanaka as they head for the Variante della Roggia. Foggy is your leader of this group.
Jackson's struggling to stick with him at the moment. Gap up to 5.5 tenths of a second, but he will gain a little bit in the slipstream here. Not a whole lot. Also remember, check out the live timing in the description below, provided of course by SDK Gaming. There you can see all the intervals between lots of the drivers. Jackson does, to be fair, gain about 2 tenths of a second just down that straight. Wilson stays out again then, but Daniel handover into the pits.
So hands over the podium spots to McLay and Foggy.
It wasn't long until he made a joke about that. We're literally 1.5 races into the season. I don't think we can really make many other puns out of that name, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit unexpected that it was the Italian to make the terrible pun of the English word.
I know, I've got one. Wilson trying to shave some tenths off his lap time.
Okay, that was even worse. Considering
I'm
that,
really pleased with that.
You are in the booth with a guy called Blackbeard, quite literally. So.
Yeah, to be fair.
Great stuff there. Jackson on the outside of the Curva Grande gets past Nicole Foggy once again. Tanaka still waiting there in the wings, showing some great patience. Oh, a little bit of a squirrely moment for both Jackson and Foggy as they added into the now infamous runoff area, which is racing line proper for today only in the Variante della Roggia. Jake Blackhall with some issues. If I can find him. Didn't lose too much time in the end. Blackhall now sitting in P6 as Wilson comes into his pit stall for his stop.
I think this is going to work out really well for James Wilson. His pace actually was really good. Did a 35.8. That's only about a second off what the front runners are doing. I mean, that's really good pace for him. And he's going to be mega quick towards the end of this race. So watch out for him, maybe for a top 10, potentially. Handover came out in 15th place. Wilson, of course, will give up the race lead to George McClay, who leads for the first time this season. Jackson still ahead of Foggy then. He's getting closer. Will he go for the move into turn 1? He sure will do. And there's surely not a whole lot that the Never Quit Racing driver can do. Is this tactics from these guys? Are they thinking, well, if we alternate positions, who goes first? Then, maybe we'll be able to shave some lap time off, or do you think they're just fighting for second place?
That's a very good question. I have no answer to that, of course, confirming once again my absolutely top-notch level of expertise on the series. But that certainly could be. I don't know if they are on the radio together. Let's say that this track doesn't really promote, except for the Parabolica, some hard, big braking areas. Therefore, we are not really sure if these drivers are, fighting hard or just passing each other because of the slipstream, because of the draft. Let's see where McClay is right now, and let's see the gap between lap after lap with Nicole Foggy, even though this will be probably skewed by the pit stop. So as you can see, it's been a bit up and down in the past 4 laps. Gaining, then losing, then gaining, then losing was Foggy in the past 4 laps, excluding, of course, the pit stop he took, that McClay took on lap 14. The series lap, McClay 34.4, and Foggy gains 0.2 of a second. I mean, they are in the same camera shot, but that's a very long straight. The gap is 3.7 seconds, so with a little bit less than 15 minutes to this race, we could have a big fight for the win, especially if these guys, like you're saying, start working with each other.
That's Jackson and Tanaka with 1 lap fresher tyres, which, should be a 1/10 of a second or so, but really that amount of difference could be overcome potentially just by driving styles. George McClay, usually a very consistent driver, so maybe taking a little bit less out of his tyres. Rebello moves behind Anthony Wood. Still a really good drive from Rebello, staying on pole position. And we've seen how drivers in the past can get kind of not overwhelmed necessarily from that particular position, but of course when you've got so many drivers going past you, it can easily get involved in a collision. He's kept it very clean though. And yeah, looking as though he could get a top 10. Sam Beeson still running in 11th place, just behind. And there's a decent gap back to Jamie Wilson, who of course has got very fresh tyres and will be rapidly catching up to those guys, probably by about a second a lap. McClay still pulling away a little bit. I think he's been about a tenth of a second faster this last time round. I mean, it's looking very good for him at the moment, unless the others are saving tyres, perhaps, for the latter stages. Issues for John Miller, who, of course, got a podium in race 1. Haven't seen too much of the Racecraft esports driver in this race 2. Also, issue for Johnny Brandon. I see he's got an off check. Yeah, Brandon with a big off. There he is. And, well, what a disastrous opening round of the season it is for the defending champion, who's towed back to the pits and is going to score barely any points today.
Maybe these things were all connected. Let's see. Big hit there, and then hit from his teammate from behind in accordion effect, and the steering was broken on that car, and that's all she wrote for Johnny's race. Jackson, Tanaka, Foggy, not in this order, but you can see them on the left side of your screen, and the right side for that matter. Another quick look at the gap, which is actually decreasing in the last couple of laps after the stops, but not as much as maybe the drivers in position second and backwards were expecting. Last time around, Jackson gained 1/10.5 on McClay. Let's see this time around.
Yeah, it's a 34.96 for McClay, and for Jackson it's a 34.5. However, Jackson was in 3rd place before that, so he hasn't actually taken a whole lot of time out, because Foggy was being overtaken. Foggy can't quite get past Jackson into turn 1. So we'll see if Jackson can make any impression on the race here. Tanaka is staying at the back of this pack for pretty much the entire time. He's certainly got the pace to potentially overtake them, but just deciding that there's no point in track position at this point. Blackhall another 5.5 seconds behind these guys. Lavelli going really well in 6th place. In terms of other battles going on, Greg Carr just gets past Dave Janssen out there. Also, Handover versus Warmingham. Handover with fresher tyres, but Warmingham, I think, trying to get past the 443 car as we speak. And also Joshua Chin getting past Yas or Sebula. A few battles out there, however, not the big packs that we kind of expected to see around this track. Expected the cars to get a little bit closer to one another across the event, but that hasn't been the case with the big crashes we've seen at both the start of the 1st and 2nd races. Foggy, I think, will be easily past Woodward by the, past Jackson by the end of this straight.
We stay on board with him for the time being and see what happens. The box comes back on. Great round there for the defending champion. Moves on the inside. Great stuff.
So if they can do this, well, he's taking quite a tight line. I'm just thinking maybe that's a little bit faster. They've gained a little bit of time there. But it's not really, well, it's not exactly Tour de France, is it? They have one in, is it the Giro d'Italia?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a more fitting example given where we are. Actually, in the past, not in the past, sorry, there has been Italian national level race which is held every year in Imola.
Cool.
Of all places. Mugello has been played host to the end of one of the stages of Giro Italia a few years ago. But they did like short version of Mugello, which was disappointing, especially because it's very up and down track. Terrible for car racing, don't get fooled, but very nice for bikes. And of course, in my local track of Vallelunga, every year we organize a marathon. Or a half marathon, I think. Well, not that I'm ever going to participate, so.
Wilson is really quick. Gosh, Jamie Wilson in 11th place. He's got fresh tyres, but I mean these are still some sublime laps. Just on a 34.75. The race leader doing a 35.3. So that's massively faster for the Team Chimera driver, who is going to comfortably get 10th place, I think, quite soon. Once he gets past Justin Rebello, and of course Anthony Woodward only just ahead as well. He's got a mega slipstream. Will Wilson, although he's still about 3/4 of a second behind. Here comes Rebello down the inside. They're going to compromise each other's lines. These two have just been swapping positions pretty much every lap for the past 10 laps or so. And now Wilson is right onto their back bumper. No opportunity going into the Lesmo. I mean, I guess even with the fresh tyres, Marco, it's still not as simple as just, you know, pulling out and overtaking, because then you're under pressure for the bay next straight. So Wilson can't be complacent here. He's still got to think a lot about this move.
Yes, he has to, absolutely. He needs to maybe find a good run coming out of the Serraglio here. Scary, one of the last few big braking areas of this track. Oh no!
Oh, into the back of him.
Very early braking
early
from Woodward. Yeah. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of the damage. Pretty looks to be okay. These are very resistant cars when it comes to, you know, front and back hits. Not so much, of course, on the suspensions. By the way, George McClay on the start-finish line and little bit past it. Now the gap is 3.1 seconds. As this go again, little bit of door banging there, but Wilson gets the move on Woodward. The next target will be Rebello.
Seemingly with good straight line speed is Jamie Wilson. Might be able to, in fact, he's not going to get past by turn 1, so he's going to have to make a bold move into 2. Foggy pulling away from Jackson, crucially, up to 1 second there. And now the slipstream is going to be negligible between those two. Tanaka going to try to get past Jackson, I think, in order to try to pressurize Foggy. Foggy, by the way, 0.3 of a second faster than McClay. Here comes Wilson. Oh, is that going to be in the wall? Yes, it is. And he's now stranded in the middle of the circuit. Oh, go either way of him. There was Buzan and O'Connor. Or maybe, yeah, maybe Buzan and O'Connor, I'm not sure. That was another massive incident.
Wow, that was super close.
Don't know if we could get a replay of Buzan. There.
You are reading my mind.
Oh, 250 kilometers an hour at least, right there. It's about 170 miles an hour, I believe.
Gap going down 2.7 seconds there at the front, but could it be too little too late for Foggy? He pulled away from the battling duo of Jackson and Tanaka, maybe too late, as Woodward heads for the pits. And therefore McClay might be in a good position to bring home his first victory of the season after the mess at the start of race 1.
I mean, surely Nicola Foggy can't win this one as well. I mean, we saw at Watkins Glen, Bentley gets in pole position, and then, well, the top two in that race too as well hit each other, allowing him past. And in this one, the doors kind of have opened slightly for him. He's certainly walks through it though, very impressively, because he's had to still go toe-to-toe with some superb drivers, and he has well and truly beaten them. Tanaka, though, can he get past Jackson? You'd expect Tanaka to have maybe slightly better tyres. He's not had to push as hard as maybe his rivals in this stint, or has he just struggled for pace a little bit, hence why he hasn't made too much of a challenge on the Never Quit Racing driver ahead. We are going into the last 5 minutes of this race, the last 3 minutes of this
3
race,
minutes,
even.
yeah.
So 2 more laps to go, will it? Yeah, only 2 laps to go. We won't quite get in a third. Well, that's music to George McClay's ears because he lost 0.7 of a second on that last lap. The gap's down to 2 seconds, so you can imagine 3 laps to go. That's quite basic maths. He'd catch him. 2 laps to go, not enough. But it's still big pressure for George McClay to hold off. I believe he only won. He's only won 2 races in this championship, remarkably, Marco. But today, he's finally had a little bit of luck, starting relatively high up the grid, got through the mess at turn 1. And yeah, it's been a controlled performance since then. It was kind of those early laps where he got into the lead very early on, which have really made this race fun.
And they stopped on the same lap, therefore it will not be an issue tires wise. You can see the gap more or less remaining the same in the first 3 sectors, but then sector 4 and 5, especially with the big braking area in the Parabolica, that's where Foggy is able to close in. But will it be enough? I think you are right, Sam, it won't, unless something crazy happens, as we are about to head for the penultimate time through the Parabolica and into the start-finish line. Gap is down to 1.93 seconds. Last lap of the race for George McClay, who gains quite a bit of time in the Parabolica. 0.2 of a second, so breathing room, very much welcome breathing room for him. And now he just has to bring the car home.
They've got Whiting, Newitt, and Sadler fighting amongst each other just ahead. That's a proper 3-car battle. Sadler just getting up to the back of that one. They don't need to finish from the lead lap. There's pretty much no benefit to that whatsoever. And so they can afford to let them pass, basically. They're probably not going to be too hard. You know what? McClay's probably not going to be able to catch in time.
He lost 3/10 in the first sector, 3/10 in the second sector.
Is he running out of fuel? He did put in 0.9 of a second less fuel than Nicole Foggy. The gap is coming down. It's down to 1.2 seconds now. As long as he's got fuel, he's going to be fine. It's the TechSense Pitstop Motorsport driver. And through Ascari, he's very strong, maintains that gap, maybe loses 1/10 of a second to Nicole Foggy, who surely is going to be denied another double race win. However, he is certainly going to exit this first round of the championship a long way ahead in the championship. But as we reach the Parabolica for the 28th time in this race, George McClay rounds the final corner, and he's going to reach the checkered flag first, and he wins race 2 at Monza. Nicole Foggy in second place. Jackson holds off Tanaka, and Blackwell will finish in 5th place. Blackwell, the second highest point scorer, I imagine, from this opening round of the season. Brilliant result for Steve Lavelli, another 6th place. Still some battles going on. Handover will beat Buzan. Miller and Alsop not that close. This is actually the closest battle. Newitt has fallen to the back of this chain. Stadler has managed to get past both Whiting and Newitt in half a lap there. So I imagine Stadler will be able to put away Newitt all over the place, and that might just be his chances gone of gaining a top 26 position. But we'll keep our cameras on this one to the end of this race.
Yeah, maybe we have another fight here, sorry.
Yeah.
As Alsop will finish just in front of Miller for P16. Chin, you see there. Back to this fight here then. So Stadler pulling away. It's between Whiting and Newitt. Seems like Clyde Whiting has a better run through the backstretch, heading into the Parabolica, as the sun is setting over the beautiful Monza circuit. Beautiful reflects on the front of the car there of Whiting. Whiting brings home P26, Newitt P27. These are the last 2 drivers we were waiting for. Therefore, that's it for race 2. But don't go away because here come the race results.
Yes, and it is George McClay who wins his first race of the season ahead of Nicole Foggy. Chris Jackson rounding out the podium. There's Victor Tanaka, Jake Blackhall, Steve Lavelli, Adam Chmielewski. Good result from him considering he had a bit of an off as well. Did Chmielewski in 7th. There was Marco Namella, Jamie Wilson, and Lane O'Connor. Good day for O'Connor, undoubtedly, in the top 10 in that race. Then it was Daniel Handover, Sam Buzan, Greg Carr, Dave Janssen, good performance from him today. Jamie McKnight in 15th place after pitting twice. A good recovery, though, to be fair, after being involved in an early crash. There's Richard Alsop, John Miller, Anthony Woodward, Josh Chin, Yasos Sebula, Tony Klusterman. We didn't see much of having to take a faster pair as well. There's Wayne Sanderson, Dominic Sori, Ole Christian Unberg, Harold Stadler, Clyde Whiting, Tyler Newitt, Richard Warmingham was 1 lap down. The other drivers 1 lap down were Lewis Bibby, Gary Croft, Peter Bingham, Nikolai Bogatyrev. 2 laps down was Bill Switzer, and the retirees were Justin Rebello, Michael Frost, Johnny Brandon, Matt Bunn, Vernon Wiley, Andrew Hoffman, Michael Mueller, Kane Halliburton, and Bobby Childs. What a disastrous race it was for Brandon and Halliburton in particular, 2 of the fastest drivers out there, but scoring barely any points. Hopefully, we'll have a chat with our race winner later on, but we've not got a bad substitute, let's say. Victor Tanaka is going to have a chat with us. Congratulations, Victor. First up, race 1. We'll chat about race 2 in a moment, but race 1, I guess you're involved in that first few corners carnage. It was properly mad out there.
Yeah, I looked back at the replay after, and then I realized that so I had a separate incident from the back in front, but even if I didn't, I think we would have been caught up in that mess anyways. So yeah, so like at the time, I thought that we started the carnage, but no, it happened in front of us. Yeah, just the nature of the track. It was always gonna happen. It's very narrow there on that little kink, and it's just very awkward.
And then in race 2, you had a sublime start. I think you were up probably about 15 places in the first couple of laps. You got ahead of Foggy as well. Just take us through that start, because there were a couple of crashes in front of you, but you just went straight through the middle of all of them.
Yeah, I got very lucky, I have to say. With those crashes, I was just very fortunate, that the track, cleared up right before I got there. And it happened, a couple times in a row. Yeah, and I saw that me and Foggy were kind of going through together. Then I got past a couple of cars, and I got kind of lucky that he got stuck behind him. So I was clear of him for a while, hunting down McClay and Greg. And then I made a little mistake on the second last mo, and that allowed Chris to catch up. And then after the stops, we just a little train there. I was running, I think about a degree more than most of the guys on the wing. I didn't like the setup for the first race, so I went up on the wing for the second race. But I guess it wasn't enough. The straight line was really important.
Yeah, it was absolutely crucial out there. In terms of the next race of the championship, I can't find where it is. So, what's the circuit and what format is it going to be?
So the next race, second. I
We
was
really
looking
are
at it the other day.
I am very professional.
Don't
Okay, here
worry.
we are.
Suzuka Grand Prix.
Is Suzuka, yes, and it says a normal sprint and feature. So Suzuka, a circuit that a lot of drivers like. Are you a big fan of it?
Mm.
Aha, seem to have lost Victor there. My unprofessional. Oh, here we
Victor.
go. Victor
I'm sorry.
is back with us. So we found out it was Suzuka.
It's Suzuka next, yes.
How
A
do you
proper
like
racetrack.
Suzuka? Yeah.
A proper racetrack and a proper layout. Yeah, that's a fun track, and that's a very technical track, especially on the cars. So I do believe that the field is going to be a little more spread out. So the faster guys are going to be, even faster. The mid pack a little slower. So it's really going to spread out. There's no such thing as a huge draft train there like we had here. So yeah, so that really comes down to driving setup.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Victor, on tonight. That was a really good 4th place out there. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Just thank all of you guys for the broadcast, and also Clyde and the NQR team for making the series what it is. Yeah, even though today wasn't the cleanest of the races out there, still with all the formats, Tony always puts up the setup for everybody in the league to try out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Victor, and best of luck for Suzuka in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you guys. Thank you also for the broadcast.
So that was Victor Tanaka, 26th in race 1 and 4th in race 2. Marco, who are we going to have a chat with next?
I want to have a chat with one of our new drivers, Jake Blackhall. Hello, Jake.
Hello, guys. Nice to be here again. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So it has been quite a hectic day for you today on track. Describe us race 1 and race 2 from your perspective.
Race 1, that start, it was always going to be a bit chaotic, I think, into that second chicane, fast flowing bit, whatever you want to call it. Not really a chicane anymore. Yeah, it all happened. It all kicked off. I knew it was going to happen somewhere, but I thought it would be behind me, not in front. So saw that kicked off. I went under an XVR car, which was pretty lucky, and then just tried to claw my way at Nicole. Nicole has been exceptional in these cars, especially in the Australian splits as well. So I knew he was going to be the one to beat, and trying to keep up with him was very difficult. I have nowhere near his speed, but was happy to just sort of sit behind him and do what I could. Race 2 was basically going quite well. The sort of floated behind Nicole as well and just tried to pick our paces and sort our way through all the carnage in front of us. And then I came out in front of him in the pit stop. I tried to underfuel because I knew I could try and save some in the draft if I caught him, but actually jumped him in the stop, which wasn't my plan. And then I made a mistake. I braked too early on the fresher tyres and clipped the inside curb, which actually damaged the under tray for the entire second stint. So it was like driving around without a front wing, which didn't really help, but I'm happy to come away with a fifth.
It looked to me, at least from our perspective, once again, that when you went through what basically you guys went through the runoff area there at the second chicane, there was like a bump, and so every time you went through that particular portion of the track, no matter what, the car was going to have a little bit of a sideways moment, a little bit of unbalance after hitting that bump, and of course, especially at the start of the race, when you are so close to one another, it only takes a little bit of contact to create the chaos. So it seemed like there was something on the racing line there, because of course that is not, proper racing line usually. That really, every time you went there, it was a scary moment.
Yeah, every lap through that section there, like you said, that because it's offline, there's a bump in the middle. We actually set my car up really soft. That's why I was able to take a lot more curbs than I think a lot of other people. We set it up very soft, so it could ride that bump a little bit better. So I knew what it was going to do, but it looked like a lot of people had it unsettled too much over that little bump. But it was actually gave the track character. It was just super fast, super scary in that car, though. We were running super low downforce, trying to maximize the straight line. We had the car basically on the deck running Le Mans gear ratio. So the thing was crazy. We were topping out in the draft down the back and down the front stretch, which was crazy into one when you're only lifting.
In a couple of weeks, back to a more traditional racing venue, still a sprint and feature race doubleheader at Suzuka, the Grand Prix track. What are your thoughts about Suzuka?
Suzuka's a good track, especially for the supercars. I personally don't like Suzuka, but so I don't know how I'm going to go. But for the field, and I think Nicole's going to be very quick there as he is everywhere. So I think he's going to be out in front with Johnny Brandon as well. He had a shocker tonight, so unfortunate for him. But there's a couple of other guys that were up there. I think will be definitely pushing on the top 10, top 5 even that we didn't see tonight. So I think it'd be good. It'll be interesting to go to a more traditional layout, especially for the supercars, and see how it goes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jake. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I just want to give a massive shout out to CQR Club for everything they do. All our sponsors and brands that jumped on board: Cranfield Simulation, Chaslington, Ash Sutton Racing, Fanatec, SimiCube. I'm sure I'm going to miss a couple. Sim Sports as well. All their support and all their help that they've done, as well as Pure Sims that has just recently jumped on board. So thank you all our sponsors and supporters, and hopefully we can do a good job at Suzuka next week or next 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. Congratulations once again, and yeah, catch you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you. See you, boys.
So next up, we will have a chat. Oh wait, no, it's been made easier for us. Someone's just left. No, well, we've still got 2 decisions, haven't we? Oh dear.
Yeah, the one that left was Victor.
Decisions.
So
yeah.
Unless you want to interview him again, even though it's I
well,
think he left. Okay, no, okay.
I think instead, I made a decision, Marco.
I saw the name disappear. I said, okay, Chris disappeared because he couldn't wait for us to pick, and then he left. But no, he's been rudely brought up to you by you, Sam. So I leave you to it.
Yes, Chris Jackson, finishing in 3rd place in that race 2. Chris, congratulations out there. Just through that race 1, though. I mean, I don't know how you got through that big crash, but that was a good recovery from you and Tony.
That was unbelievable. I think I flipped or came close to flipping, and I was expecting the meatball, and it didn't have any straight pace. But I just tried to save the tires and was able to carve out a few spots. So happy with that after that start.
Definitely, and then race 2, starting from 14th place. I mean, just take us through the start because there's so much going on, and then Tony had that big crash through Curva Grande. I mean, how was it from your perspective?
I didn't see Tony's crash. I heard him on the radio, but I was just trying to keep my eyes forward, try and drive clean, get through a few guys. I knew Greg was going to be tough, so I was hoping I could carve through the traffic to stay with him, and then knew the fast guys, Foggy and McClay, were going to be coming up the backside. So that was the idea. I ended up having a touch with Nikolai Bogotyrev, so apologies to him. Herb kicked me a bit further than I thought, so that compromised my speed and my pace a bit until after the pit, and then I had a blast with Foggy and Victor, so that was a lot of fun.
You seemed to stick with Nicole for a while. You were trading places, and then all of a sudden the gap kind of got up to a second or so. Was that just maybe Foggy's better tire life near the end, or was that just maybe a small mistake from yourself?
One little mistake, and he took advantage. I went in the wrong gear, lit up the tires a bit, and had to worry about Victor behind me, and then he was gone. So that was that.
In terms of the points, though, today, I mean, compared to many of your championship rivals, Johnny, of course, having a poor round, Kane Halliburton having a struggling round, you must be quite pleased with, that points haul, I believe, an 11th and a 3rd. I mean, that's going to put you maybe in the top 5 in the championship already.
Very happy with that. Usually the first, I was joking with the team because usually the first round is a shocker for me. So this is decent points for me. I'm happy with that, and happy to even get a top 5, let alone a top 3 with the quality of field that we have in the future.
Well, certainly thanks for having a chat with us, Chris. Is there any shout-outs you'd like to give anyone?
Definitely first off, my wife for letting me jump on the sim today. Simability, our sponsor, Racetech for sponsoring this great league. You guys for the broadcast that you guys do such a good job, and all the participants in the league. So great stuff from everyone, and of course our team. Very hard work put into the setup, and it worked very well with all of us. So
awesome. Thanks for chatting with us, Chris, and best of luck for Suzuka in 2 weeks' time.
Sounds good, guys. Take care. Thanks a lot.
So that was Chris Jackson there, finishing in 11th and 3rd positions. Marco, one more interview to go.
Oh yes, so one more interview, and we are going to have a chat with Harald Stadler. Hello Harald, how's it going?
Hello Marco, hello Sam. I'm fine, how are you?
Doing fine. Looked like it was quite a tough night for you at the office in Monza.
Yeah, that was really a tough night, so to speak. I mean, I had not the pace beforehand. For some reason, I couldn't get some speed out of the car, so I tried another strategy, being fast as hell on the straight. And yeah, it worked in race 1. It seemed to work in race 2 also, but yeah, unluckily I was out 2 times. Yep.
I don't know if we talked after media day, so I will ask this to you. How do you feel about the new cars? What are the difference and the similarities compared to the old cars?
Phew. Oh, yeah. Well, I find the behavior of the car in general is similar to the old one, but it's not like this don't brake, don't turn and kill you and exit behavior like the old one. It's just a bit more gentle. And yeah, the V7 tires are completely different. You have to nurse them through the race, though they don't fall off in the middle of the race. But in general, it's still a V8 Supercar for me.
Of course, early days, long season ahead. I will ask you a question which is maybe, a bit in the future, but whatever. I'm going to ask it to you regardless. Can we expect to see once again, at least one more time, the Niki Lauda tribute livery later down the line in the championship?
You like the Niki Lauda livery, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I can talk to my team boss if he allows me to use it once or twice for for one race and or for 2. And yeah, I try to bring it back.
Awesome. Harald, thank you very much for jumping in for the interview. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to thank Fitztai and our team sponsors, Texans, Renwell, Fight CSE, and our partners. And of course, I'd like to thank you guys for streaming. It's always a pleasure to watch the stream afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Harald. Enjoy the rest of your night and catch you in a couple of weeks' time.
See you.
And that was Harald Stadler for Texans Fitztai Motorsports. And before we close the broadcast, I'll put the team boss on the spot. Can we see at least once the Niki Lauda livery?
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It will have to
I
be, of
mean,
course, reworked with the new sponsors, etc. But the base is there. Of course,
I
it's a
mean,
new car.
maybe I'm thinking maybe 1 year anniversary, perhaps, because it was June, May, probably about May. I think Nicky passed away, so perhaps could be a good tribute for him there. I mean, to be fair, you can run it every race. It is a stunning livery. Not to, I mean, Marco, I hope you're not implying that the Texans Fitzstone Motorsport livery isn't a good livery.
Listen, I
Because
saw that I think you applied some of the new material, spec maps on the blue, which makes it look even better. I love blue, it's one of my favorite colors. Speaking of blue, so no, I absolutely love your livery. Speaking of blue, there's going to be plenty of it in a couple of hours on the iRacing Esports Network when we bring you the Formula 3.5 on the Racing Esports Network, and that will be again 22 GMT. It will have, a new graphics package inspired by a certain open wheel series of the mid 2000s. If you had the premium package, of that particular series. And yeah, so if you have not had enough of your racing fix for tonight, I will kindly invite you to join us there. And of course, tomorrow, uh, we have starting at 13 GMT. A bit of a long broadcast. Hopefully, you will enjoy us for the ride, because for the fourth time in 2 weeks, we will be back in Daytona, either as drivers or commentators, for the Abruzzi Simware Sim Racers World Endurance Championship, and that will be a stunning race to follow, Sam. I'm very excited for that race, actually. It will be an all-night race, so it will be under the lights from start to finish.
Yeah, that'll be pretty awesome. Daytona always looks superb during the night, and yeah, that will be quite spectacular. Of course, in the GT3, the Porsche Cup, and the TCR cars. Of course, there are plenty of other broadcasts on Apex Racing TV. Of course, check out the Apex Racing TV Weekly Roundup podcast, undoubtedly, because we post that consistently on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook. And then, of course, in terms of series, we've got the ARL TC Championship coming to a conclusion on Thursday evening. Still many drivers up for that championship. Wojciech Swidovic, could he somehow take his sixth championship after nearly not qualifying for the showdown? Looks as though he is the favourite for that. And yeah, plenty of other officials. The IndyCar Championship on Friday evening. Of course, any Aussies, as there could well be, because this is Supercars. Check out the IMSA split, the top split of IMSA Tuesday morning for us Europeans, Tuesday evening for the guys down under. And there'll be plenty of other broadcasts as well, also on the iRacing Esports Network as well. But for now, from me and from Marco, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.